what is this need for leaders to have a coaching mindset? Or why should leaders even think about coaching? Isn't it a totally different field? And also to understand what exactly is coaching and what it is not. And then we are going to talk about the program that we have curated for leaders to get into a coaching mindset. And then we'll open up this forum for question and answers if there are any. So having that, getting straight into the presentation, allow me a minute to share it. I hope the screen is visible for all of us.
Yes, Madan.
Yeah, great. So leaders as coaches, where it all started. We came upon this interesting survey that Gallup threw up in June 2020, and we are eagerly waiting for the survey of the year June 2021 as well, where it reported that only 36% of the employees in an organization feel fully happy, fulfilled, satisfied, and are actively engaged in their jobs, which means that the rest of them are not feeling the same and probably are there just to meet their day-to-day demands or the needs that keeps them running. So a big question started looming in our head as to uh, why is this percent so low? Which also made us think a bit and reflect a bit, and we also understood that as a person moves up the leadership ladder, till he reaches a certain point uh, in the leadership level, it is always about individual skills, individual knowledge, your technical knowledge, how you fared better than your colleagues, and you moved up the ladder. You may be a team leader, you may be a vertical head or a business head, because of your sheer talent, hard work, and the way you have proved yourself. But as you move up the ladder, and once you've moved up the ladder and you're being there, uh, leaders start to realize that there's something that they have never learned or never been taught is how to work with people, right? And suddenly their work life changes from their technical knowledge or their skills or their abilities to managing people and working with people and relating to people. And when this happens, a lot of them starts feeling stuck. They suffer in bad work relationship. They're not able to get the team together to do what they want to do. They kind of feel that the team is not living up to their expectation. The team starts feeling that my boss is not giving me space. There is constant pressure from the top. Even a CEO has somebody like a board who's breathing down their neck. So what happens is that the most important thing that plays in a leader's life is people and people relationship. And uh, that is why you see that 36% of the employees only feel so happy about or fulfilled at their workplace, which led us to finding out as to what indeed makes a better workplace or makes people who are working with leaders happy, right, or feel fulfilled. That led us to a research which was done by two guys from the University of Rochester, Ryan and Dechi. In the year 2000, they had published a report, a study where they had since that after all the materialistic needs of a person is met, which is your salary, your designation, your social status in your organization, everything is met. What makes an employee feel fulfilled and happy is or are three things. First, a sense of autonomy. Am I autonomous enough to take decisions? Can I? Is my decisions or my solutions accepted? Am I free to go ahead and execute what I can execute? Am I being heard? So, a sense of autonomy gives that fulfillment to the person who's there, who's working with you or in the organization. The second part is competence, right? I have my skills, I have come up to this level in the organization with my competence and with my knowledge. Is my competence being valued? Is it being utilized? Is my knowledge, is my thought being accepted? So am I feel sense of value comes to a person only when his competencies are being used. And most importantly, other than autonomy and competence, another important factor that played is how am I having my relationship with my peers, my colleagues, my stakeholders, my boss, and my people around me, right? So autonomy, competence, and relatedness are three different things that needs to come together for an individual at any level in the organization, for them to start feeling that they are being valued by the organization. They start valuing themselves, and they start feeling aligned with their personal goals and life, and they start looking out into the bigger things in life, and that's when they feel fulfilled. So this led us to launching this unique program that we do called as Leaders as Coaches, where leaders need to learn a very important skill, which is the coaching style of leadership. And we'll see what that leadership style is. I'm sure you have questions. Please do note them. We'll be happy to answer them for you. But just let us complete what we have for you. Also, a very interesting study that we would like to share was by Dr. Daniel Goleman, the author of Emotional Intelligence 2.2. He published an article in Harvard Business Review, Leadership That Gets Results, where he talks about six styles of leadership, and he kind of relates these six styles to a great golf player. I'm sure whenever you see a golf player, he has a he has, of course, he has a caddy, and the caddy is carrying a bag full of clubs, and he kind of uses different clubs for different kinds of shots. And most of the time when the shots are taken, there's not much of a thought. Of course, there's a bit of pondering over, but he kind of uses different clubs to get the perfect shot as he moves through the game. So that is the comparison that Dr. Goldman draws to a good leader in an organization. And he talks about a democratic leader, commanding leader, a pace setting leader, a visionary, affiliative, and also the most least used kind of leadership in an organization, which is coaching, unfortunately, which he also mentions in the article. Um, and the most commonly practiced kind of leadership is the commanding, or the telling, or the dictator, or the autocratic style of leadership, which is good enough for getting short-term results. But if your organization is looking for a long-term result, developing people with you, developing yourself and the people around you towards a long-term growth and vision of the organization, then coaching style of leaderships kind of takes importance. And it's also said that at least four of these styles of leadership is required by any leader at any point of time, to excel in his leadership. It could be any four of the combinations, but if your organization, and if you are set to do something for the long term and are not looking at immediate results, then coaching style of leadership stands at the top over there. And another dimension to this is shared in the next slide, where you'll find that we are talking about four different quadrants over here, which talks about four leadership styles. One is a directive telling, where the leader has an immediate problem to attend. He's got smart people, but still he doesn't allow the smart people to use their thinking, their abilities to go ahead and deliver solutions, but goes ahead and starts dictating or telling them what to do. When a leader keeps telling every time what to do, just imagine the mindset of the smart people who are listening to such a leader. That every time this guy, the smart guy who's listening to the leader, feels that his ideas are not being heard, he's just doing a donkey's job where he's just taking instructions and going in. And what happens to the overall energy or the result that is pulled out? So the leader keeps putting in more energy, more information, more knowledge, more directions, and the the workforce or the employee or the team draws out lesser and lesser energy within themselves. And energy over here could be the motivation to deliver results, the ability to go ahead and solve problems that they've never thought about, or different ways of solving problems. On the other hand, in the quadrant two, you will see that uh, if you have a team of highly motivated people, then the leader tends to take a back step and sit and say, okay, let them do whatever they have. Where less or no energy is put by the leader, and people at the end of the day also get frustrated that they're not being heard, or they're just doing what they have to do. And laissez-faire leadership does not um, work optimal. The third quadrant, the most important quadrant we are talking over here, is can a leader move from a commanding and a controlling style of leadership, or totally being democratic and just sitting back and asking for everyone's opinion, or just keeping quiet, to a non directive kind of a leadership where he coaches the people whom he is interacting with. It just need not be just subordinates. It could be colleagues across all level, or even a conversation with a vendor or a supplier, where you kind of put in less energy as a leader, but just because you're putting in less energy, what you're drawing out from the other person is more energy. The other person feels that he's being listened to. His ideas, his views, his knowledge, his competence is being put into use. You are giving autonomy to the other person, empowering the other person to go ahead and find solutions to the problems that he or she is facing, and thereby owning and taking accountability for their own solutions. And that is the non-directive or the coaching style of leadership that we're talking over here. And the fourth quadrant is situational, where, going back to Sir Daniel Goldman, where he says, have that club in your hand, and depending on the situation, use the club that you really want to use for that particular moment. But for you to move to a situational style of leadership, you will have to know what coaching style of leadership, or how to even coach your people whom you are interacting with. And this beautiful article, again published in the Harvard Business Review, written by two authors called Hermania and Anne. And this quadrant was being pulled up from there, which very well reflects the need for people to understand or see what and how a coaching style of leadership looks like. But as I said, coaching style of leadership is seldom spoken about. Um, although coaching style of leadership does not shout that we will get you results, it definitely delivers results. And hence, most of the organization, including the Microsofts of the world today, Satya Nadella is known for his coaching style of leadership. But just taking a pause over here, let's first understand um, what is coaching and what is not coaching. Definitely, coaching is not mentoring, coaching is not consulting, coaching is not training, right? So most abused thing, people call themselves as coaches. Unfortunately, they are playing in any of these three areas, and they call themselves as coaches. So mentoring is when a subject matter expert offers a guidance to a less knowledgeable person, wherein the expert leverages on his past learnings and mentors the other person. Most bosses tend to act in this mode, where he brings his or her own experience and try to push them down the shoulders of the people whom they are working with. To an extent, it helps, but after some time, it doesn't, because you're not offering any freedom or autonomy, or even valuing the other person's knowledge out over there. Consulting is when an expert is brought in to solve a particular problem. Information is given to the consultant. The consultant looks at all the information, uses his technical or his knowledge to go ahead and solve that particular problem, fixes it, gets it done, and then leaves the organization. So they are problem solvers. The focus is always on the problem. And the third one is training, which is also confused with coaching. Training is teaching. So there's no teaching involved in coaching. It's teaching or imparting a skill or a process or a particular knowledge of a subject area through a prepared content, mostly given instructions on how to do it. From basic levels, it's basically A plus B plus C, or a particular model or a formula that's being taught to a bunch of people, and the people are left over there. They all have their own importance in different areas, but this is not what coaching is. So what is coaching? So coaching is a transformational journey. We call it as a journey of transformation because you are moving the people whom you are interacting with to a more resourceful state. And a resourceful state where the person is empowered to take decisions and work on an action plans to go ahead and achieve the goal that he or she wants to. It's always futuristic. The outcome, the path, and the pace is defined by the client. The client over here could mean your colleague, your subordinate, anybody that whom you are interacting with it and having a coaching conversation. And it comes from a space of equal, where you and your partner are considered as equal. So I don't come from a space of I know more, or your subordinate who's 5 years or 10 years younger to you does not come from a space of he knows less. It's about coming together to go ahead and solve a particular goal or achieve a goal in a way that unleashes energy for the person who's sitting in front of you, and thereby the person feels accountable, the person feels committed, and the person feel empowered to go ahead and do and get the work done. There's it's not, there's no instructions over here, it's construction, it's support, it's we are there together in this, and how can we go ahead and do it across. And this has been very beautifully defined by International Coaching Federation, where International Coaching Federation defines coaching as a partnering process, which is very creative because it's a non-linear process, it's a non-directive process, which is thought-provoking. I mean, I'm sure we all deal with millennials today. We all deal with very smart people today. And unless you provoke the thought of the people whom you're dealing with, you're just going to stuck in your past experiences and not going to find newer ways to find solutions to problems. And thereby, when you're partnering in a creative and thought-provoking process, you inspire the person who's sitting in front of you to maximize not just their professional potential, but also their personal potential. And thereby, the person is at a resourceful state. Having said this, leaders today, as I started this conversation saying that it's more about people management than about anything else, it's very important for leaders to move from the command and control approach to an empower and commit approach. Command and control can bring in short term results, but if you're looking for long term results, if you're looking for building a team and thereby building an organization that is motivated, enthusiastic, empowered, and commitment towards the long term objectives of the organization, command and control is no more going to deliver the result. It can do for 1 quarter, 2 quarters, or for a particular year, but it is eventually going to leave the organization or leave the leader with a lot of attrition or a bunch of people working with no motivation under the leader. Also, when a leader adopts a coaching mindset, he or she moves from just the goal, just the objective, just the budget, just the target, to going ahead and achieving the true potential of the people that they are working with and their own potential as well. So, the true synergy that we talk, 1 plus 1 is equal to 11 and not 2, can happen when the team feels that they are playing at their full potential, and thereby you create an ecosystem of value, which is aligning your value to your organization's value to the let's say the larger stakeholders value, and the stakeholders value to the larger society, where the entire organization, which is the teams, the subordinates, and the entire organization is in an empowered and playing to their full potential mode, right? um, what makes this coaching mindset important? We just crossed, or probably we are going through, hopefully we are going through the end of the pandemic, and we are going to help leaders. This mindset is going to help leaders soar amidst not just this crisis but any kind of volatility, uncertainty, or anything that's playing out over there. Brings in accountability amongst the team members, finding new ways to solve problem. You're stimulating people every day and making people, pushing every person out over there to play at their best potential. Not literally pushing, but just enabling them to play at their full potential. and overall improves the work relationship. And that's what we call as the true enchantment, and we call it the ROI of enchantment the ICF way. Just taking a small break over here, want to invite Subhash. We have a bunch of leaders from various verticals from different organizations who have gone through us in the past, who proud alumni of ours, as to how this program has helped them in their professional and personal life, Subhash.
Yeah, thanks, Madhu. So, any question at this stage, or anything that is bothering you, you can put in the chat. Because we just discussed, why coaching is. I mean, we have made this transition from corporate. Both Madhu and I come from corporate, from the P&L space, not from a HR or L&D, but we have handled profit and loss and market share. So from that point of view, we firmly feel this is futuristic, not a distant future, something that will come up now. And I think a lot of things have been fast tracked thanks to the pandemic. Leadership perhaps is one of them. I just read just this evening before I came to the office for this call that Capgemini CEO talks about intelligent companies, where the technology is embraced at a very higher level. Even acquisitions are driven by that. So I was thinking, while intelligent organizations would be more tech driven, I think intelligent leaders would be more emotionally driven, right? Emotional intelligence, that Daniel Goleman, the 6 types of leadership that Madhu spoke of. So you know we are also trying to kind of bring in this awareness into the leadership, that our old school of leadership may not work. And one good solution could be the coaching style leadership. So question is, how challenging from your experience to make leaders understand the need to move towards the coaching mindset? Great question, Karthik. We have uh, a line in our coaching approaches which says, you can only everyone needs a coach. Actually, there is a beautiful video, 1.5 minute video, featuring Bill Gates and Eric Schmidt of Google, which talks about why everyone needs a coach. And there are a couple of others also, equally impactful videos on YouTube. If you just search for why everyone needs a coach, you'll get it. But answer to your question actually lies in, the coachee should, or the client or the leader should be aware, and making them aware is not something that is easy. Let me put it that way. I have a twist to this. It might just sound, I'm kind of, instead of simplifying, complicating, but I firmly believe this. A lot of my fellow coaches don't believe this, but I personally feel coaching comes to us when we are at a certain level of you know if I can use the word, very strong word, consciousness. And at least I know Madhu very well. Madhu knows me well. We both are examples of how coaching came to us. There is something that we were ready. So to that extent, it's easier to pick up someone who is ready to make the transition and work with them, rather than do some kind of concept selling. And we are also, so all these webinars that we do, we are also trying to promote the importance of coaching as a leadership. So it's not easy. I mean, that is the one liner, if I have to say that in one line. Yeah. And for that reason, I come from banking, as Madhu said. I am shocked that banking has not embraced coaching compared to some of the other industries like technology or even MNCs, for example. I wish a BFSA, not just banking, BFSA, the entire BFSA could have done that better. I still feel, knowing the industry very well and closely with a lot of friends there, they have been very slow to embrace coaching. So it's also specific to some industries. Banking is one example. Yeah. Is coaching one time problem, or is it a continuous process for problem? Yeah. So I would go back to the definition that Madhu shared about the ICF definition of coaching. It's much bigger than that. The starting point could be a problem or a set of problems, but ultimately coaching has to take us closer to our potential, both personal and professional. That's why that definition is fabulous. It actually talks about personal and professional potential. It's like, we catch a cold, or there is a temperature, we go to doctor or a clinic and we do the test. The process, the lab test to consulting, or other symptoms, enable the doctor to identify what is deeper. Yeah. So, and a great doctor is someone who treats beyond that to your wellness, right, which is also preventive. I mean, that's a very simplistic example of coaching, but coaching has to take the client closer to the full potential. Otherwise, it's not coaching. Otherwise, it's, what Madhu spoke about, mentoring, consulting. There are a few others also apart from training, counseling, therapy, and other stuff. All are useful, all are good, but they are not coaching. Yeah. Another thing, since we are talking about others' preparedness to embrace coaching, uh, we are also trained to be non-judgmental and patient. We will wait for them to get ready, and that's very important. And one example we share in our coach training is, uh, I'll go rather my personal example. I know I have not been a great listener, you know good listener, but not a great listener. But once I started training as a coach, my awareness about some of the skills went up. I'm more conscious about how others are not listening really well, whether it is at work or in family, and I get disturbed. I mean, I get sometimes angry also, which is not good. So I have to be patient. Just because I have chosen to travel this journey of becoming a coach, that doesn't mean that my friends or family or my colleagues should also catch up in terms of some of those skills. And there have been cases where people suddenly show. I mean, I've had multiple clients where, or old time members of the network, who keep talking that I want to start coaching or I want to know more. Then suddenly they come. Right? There's something shift that happens. It could be a problem. It could be an opportunity. And when they're ready, then the journey is phenomenal for them. And it's easy for us coaches like Madhu and me to work with them. So I'm kind of taking the liberty to just cover a little more, but there is no. So the question is how to deal with difficult people. Frankly, there is no difficult people in the coaching scenario. I mean, I'm specifically talking the case of a coaching scenario. So a coaching engagement happens when there is a discovery session between the coach and the coachee. So if either of us, either the coach or the coachee is difficult, then naturally that engagement does not go forward. Once we get into the engagement, then it's an enduring relationship. So, as coaches, we don't need to deal with difficult people, thankfully. Yeah, that's one of the advantages of coaching. And it's not that there are no difficult clients, especially company-sponsored clients. Typically these are CXO CEOs who have kind of achieved a certain level of success in their work and life, and many of them don't know what is coaching, and they also come into the engagement because somebody tells you go and do this for your growth. So either the HR or the business leader, the line manager, but especially the line manager, naturally they come into the engagement with half-hearted, right, commitment. So we get such clients, but then that is more of building the trust and that relationship. One or two sessions down the line, then it gets better. I mean, that's my consistent experience. I've had some very difficult clients, but they're not difficult people. They're just challenging clients. That's all. And if I'm able to break the ice in one or two sessions, then it's a very different conversation and an engagement consistently. Yeah, thankfully. And that's what we train, that's what we are trained to coach. When Madhu was talking about the number of hours that we have clocked to become a credential coach. The experience helps us to handle them. So I'll quickly on this slide I'll run.
Yes, we have one more. Sorry to disturb. We have one more question on the chat, on the Q&A. As a leader, how do you switch between mentoring, teaching, and coaching?
I'll go for this, Madhu. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, please go. Please go ahead, Subhash.
So there is no question of mentoring, and there is no question of switching between these three. At the initial stage, we decide whether you want to go for coaching, mentoring, or teaching, or anything. So, for example, uh, like I come from banking experience, Madhu comes from international business. It's not that we are not talking to people who wants to know more about some of the experience that we have had, but it's not coaching. It's a very clear cut mentoring. Once we decide that, and frankly, both of us invest less time on it, we are more aligned with coaching because that is still about the potential of the client. Rather than mentoring, it is our gyan. Teaching is our gyan, right? And it's not an adult to adult conversation that Madhu referred to. Coaching is about potential. So, ICF Code of Ethics. So, both of us are ICF credential coaches. ICF Code of Ethics also does not allow us to switch. If it is a coaching, it's a pure coaching. So, I've had a couple of my friends from college. Uh, of course, a couple of them have gone through this program, leader as coaches. They are senior executives. I have a couple of clients. Of course, they don't pay me my market rate, but they do pay, just to get the seriousness of the engagement. So, frankly, once the relationship moves to coaching, for me, it is a coaching relationship, and it's a very sacred space for me. It's less about relationship. I mean, less about friendship, and it's not friendship versus coaching. I feel classical coaching is the best friendship because you share. I mean, there is nothing to hide, right? It's the best relationship. So to summarize, there is no switching literally from coaching to anything else. One, it is because ICF does not allow. Second, it's not in the best service of the client. Second, having looked at multiple options, like, what keeps Madhu and me passionate about this, and we are here only for the passion. Trust me, it's not for anything else. What keeps us going is that we are able to play that catalytic role to help the client go towards the potential, and that's a beautiful journey. So there is no switching, and I mean, whoever has asked that question, my invitation is avoid doing that, right? And for example, there have been instances where my son comes and says that I want to have a coaching conversation. Even that is a different conversation. So I'm a coach there. I'm not a father, and I have only one child, right? So that's very important that not to switch. I mean, I'm not father there. I'm just a coach. It's a great experience not only for the coachee, my son, but also for me as a father. Yeah.
Uh, I just hope it answers your question. We don't have your name over here, but Subhash, what if, as a leader, probably this question could also mean as a leader, when do I use a coaching hat and when do I use a mentoring hat and a teaching hat? If
Yeah,
that is the
that's a
question.
great question, right? And I'm glad that this comes up. For me, especially having handled sales and other business, both of us, Madhu, I think we need to have all the six styles of leadership. So that is one mistake, at least I've seen in my limited experience, that we tend to glorify our preferred style of leadership. So there is a particular style that each one of us pick up, which is a dominant style. It could be any of those six, or maybe it's a combination of one or two, but that predominant style we use it in all situations, which is not the right leadership. Leadership has to be more related to what the situation demands, what the other person or the team or the company demands. This is more of a requirement at that stage. So coming back to question, for me it is about the awareness, saying that of having this multiple style within me. That is number two. Number four, number three, being there in that moment to make the right choice of the leadership. Because you come from a very tough meeting to another meeting, you're actually carrying that energy into the next meeting. We don't realize that. We have seen so many examples in our work, situations, right? But the need to take a pause and come into this with a clean slate, I think that's where coaching helps us. So it's a combination of situation. But it's more about the other person. It's not about me as a leader. It's about the other person as, because it's about the other person's potential. When I say other person, it could be the individual, it could be the team, it could be even the organization for a CEO, right? And this whole thing around servant leadership also is on those lines. It's not about the CEO, but it's about the organization, right? So it's very important that we take that pause in a moment to ask what is the right thing to do now. We don't do that literally, right? As the more we go up the ladder, the less we do that. I am speaking this based on my experience both as a coach and as a leader. Does it answer, Madhu, or anything you want to add?
I mean, this person has of course confirmed that his question is about exactly when do you switch hats. I don't know if it meets him. Another way to probably add to what Subhash has just mentioned is that it's about what is the situation. Very clear, it's about the situation, right? And if you have something burning, and if you need that fire to be doused, definitely you need to get into a mode which douses the fire. So again, going through the six styles that Daniel Goleman spoke about. But if you're thinking that, hey, here I have a potential that's being untapped, a person who can play more than his weight or punch more than his weight, or if you want to make the person realize his strengths and weaknesses and play to his potential, then definitely you move to coaching. It's switching on the situation, and seeing what gives maximum potential for the person sitting in front of you, for yourself, and for the organization. I hope we have answered your question, sir.
And it's also just to add to that, you know, we think, if you have to train someone, we do some preparation to train, right? Ideally, even mentoring, if you're guiding somebody as a subject matter expert, there is something that goes into the preparation. I think coaching needs more. Coaching is about also the skill. So we should be able to coach, the classical way, which is the other person centric. So as long as we are clear about, at one level deeper about the different approaches or styles, I think you will naturally know what to use. Then it's also about trusting your intuition and gut in the moment. So as long as we are focusing the other person, the larger good, not a myopic strategy, but something long term and something that is enduring, I think we'll never go wrong. Yeah. So, a couple of other examples that comes to mind based on this particular thing is, when one of the global MNCs wanted to work on some kind of a change management without calling it a change management, but introduce coaching in the culture, because the global CEO is sold on the idea of coaching. They brought us and we ran coaching for 13 of the middle level HR leaders. It's a huge organization. So we run this specific program to them in house. That's one great example of an in house. Then we have run multiple open sessions. So for example, there have been two senior executives. I'm just sharing what comes to my mind. One is with a telecom global brand, another is with a computer product global brand. Both of them came for this program saying that, you know we are doing well, but there's something that we can still do better. And somewhere they got to know about coaching, and they Googled and found us and attended this program. We have had a senior HR leader of one of those e-commerce company going through this program. She said, I work with the corporate leaders on the business side. I need to incorporate coaching into my leadership style. So she went through this program. Few freelancers, self-employed professionals have gone through this, consultants. So we have attracted a variety of participants into this program, but we have been primarily focusing on corporate leaders because that is space that Madhu and I understand, and I think that's where the maximum impact we can make. And we stay in touch with many of them once in a way. Like yesterday, One of them commented on a recent video that I posted on a different product on YouTube. We remain in touch. One feedback that we get, which is very important for all of you here, could be that this also somewhere rubs off on a personal side. It's just not about a professional leadership improvement, right? There is something that happens at a personal side because you just become more reflective, more aware, and better listening. I mean, listening is at one of the key coaching competencies, something that Madhu runs programs for us for ICF. So listening is something in a very different level, even for us who have done MBA and other executive programs. Listening in the context of coaching takes it to a very different level. Naturally, if you're listening more, relationships heal in a relationship, right? The benefit is both at professional and personal, and at work and in life. And frankly, when people say that I'm doing better and all that, a question that I invariably ask is, how is it impacting you at home, right? I mean, so when people say that my wife said this, my husband said this, they have started noticing that I'm listening more, I'm present more. I think then you're really benefited from this, and that is the future of leadership. And that is what the style of leadership which Jim Collins speaks of in Good to Great, that level 5 leadership. So these are not our theories. I mean, the Professor Ibarra of London School of Economics, she has published multiple books on career planning. She's an authority on career planning. The quadrant that Madhu shared. So there is enough research and awareness happening there, but I think we are just preparing leaders for this. Yeah. Any question we can still answer. Anything you want to add, Madhu? Yeah.
No, no, Subhash. I think it's perfect. You will understand in the next slide. As you can type the questions, I'm just quickly going to take you through the next slide, where you'll understand that this program is designed in such a way. It's a 20-hour program that we have put together, where the emphasis is on 50% of the time on imparting competencies and 50% of the time on actual practice of coaching, so that right from the day one you are practicing what is coaching and how you'll start realizing that how you are bringing your judgments and bias and everything into a conversation. And that moment of realization is when you'll start thinking back as to, hey, am I doing this in my organization, am I doing this in my professional conversations? So learning starts from day one. It's adult learning that we are focusing over here. It is actual practice that we are focusing over here. And on a broader framework, what we try to deliver through this program and enable you through this program is in competencies of listening, presence, questioning, and other competencies which are related to coaching based on the ICF framework, a few coaching models, and how each of these models can be used. We talk about self-awareness, mindfulness, something that Subhash said. When do I wear what hat? Even for you to decide which hat to wear, are you mindful enough to be in that space and take a break and see what do I need to do over here? Self-awareness and mindfulness, working with millennials, which is something that every organization today needs to look at. We also talk about how authenticity and vulnerability plays a very important role in a leader, and when a leader becomes a coach. Can I just be authentic self, and be vulnerable enough to show who I am, and be my own self? The program also covers an exercise which is a very beautiful exercise called Regal at 60, which just not talks about your professional potential, but how balanced your life is, and what more could you do to bring a clear balance as you progress through your life. And as Subhash just mentioned in his previous slide, we talk about level 5 leadership, also hero's journey, and life's purpose, Dr. Viktor Franklin, and Campbell's hero's journey. So these frameworks, these things will give you as a leader as to it will definitely leave you at a more resourceful state, along with the competencies that you will be learning to be a coach when that situation demands in your organization, so that you're focusing on the long term building of your organization or your team or yourself as a leader, and that's all it is. In the 20 hours, we also do provide a one-on-one mentoring where, since the program is paced in such a way that it gives you 6 weeks, it's a 6 weeks program. We've broken it into 6 weeks so that it gives you enough time to go back to your organization and practice what you learn, and come back to us with questions and problems and issues so that we can give you the mentoring. The Regal family, it's our sixth, probably the seventh year we're getting into the space of ICF based coach training, leaders as coaches, and our individual coaching profession. There are over 200 professional coaches we have who worked with us, who've come out of us. 1,000 plus industry leaders and executives who've been coached in various domains, and 50 plus organizations that we have been working with. So we have a new cohort, which is an open cohort that we are starting on the 24th of March, which is a Wednesday, between 6 and 9 p.m. And that goes on for every Wednesday for 3 hours, which is made in such a way that it's a midweek evening. A person gets to learn 1 week, go back to office, practice it, and runs for over 6 weeks, and then we kind of do the 2 hours of mentoring and we close it. We also run, should any of you be looking as a program for this for your organization, we also run, as Subhash mentioned, for as an in-house program for a bunch of leaders for your organization, and that can be customized as per the needs of the organization. But primarily over here, this open batch that we are starting, the second batch of our for the leaders as coaches this year, which we're starting on the 24th of March. And so that's where I would want to leave it. You can reach out to us on info@regalunlimited.com, or message us, or leave us, give us a call, or whatever it is across, and we'll be happy to get back to you. But I was just looking at the clock. We do have about 8-9 minutes in our hand. So please use this time to bounce off any thoughts, questions you have, or if you have not answered any question the way you want it to be, please speak up so that we can get that address for you, if at all we can. So there's a question, Subhash, which says that I'm a leader who interacts daily with smart team members. My superiors, executives, uh, will coaching work in these situations? That's this question, Subhash. It's in the Q&A, Subhash.
Uh, will coaching work in citizens training concern definitely come? No, I feel for smart team members, only coaching can work. Because irrespective of the age and background or verticals, I think those good old days of I know all everything is anyway is not relevant, because most of the information is better available on Google search. So to that extent, and it's a very dynamic situation. Like the example I always give is, I moved out of banking when fintech was still not in the jargon itself, right? Last 8 years now, the biggest threat that BFS is facing is fintech, right? I mean, it's a threat and, of course, an opportunity also. Like Walmart has just hired senior executives from the banking to run. So, smart people, I think coaching is the best leadership. And smart people, not just at work, also at home, I guess. Yeah, the millennial that Madhu referred more than once, I think can only be managed with through coaching. So I know I'm deliberately saying that when coaching is about maximizing professional and personal potential, coaching looks at the leader as a whole. Because what I am at work impacts who I am at home, and what I am at home impacts who I am at work. Right? I mean, we are emotional beings, we are social beings. So I think that's what makes coaching, I keep propagating this saying that coaching is the future of leadership, and I have no doubt about it. And we are perhaps, in that transition phase, which has been fast tracked thanks to the pandemic. Now, COVID-19 is just one. We don't know what lies ahead of us, right? So it's very important. Yes. I hope I've tried partly answered that question.
And interestingly, there's another question which says that how do I know that my organization is cut out for coaching? It might be, but they are expecting me to be directive, tell them, and instruct. Uh,
Very good question. Yeah.
Subhash, can I?
Yes.
Uh, yeah. So what we see as we interact with organizations is that organizations that are set for the future, directing, telling, instructing can work in the short term to get your short term results, right? But if you're an organization or if you're with an organization that is focused on future, that is focused on collective leadership rather than individual leadership, people leadership, and people skills. I think coaching is the best, the best way of leading an organization, because we're not talking about just a silo of a leader coaching his team, but an organization where the culture becomes a coaching and a mindset of coaching for the organization. Um, Directive instructions can help in the short term, but in the long term, you're going to have a bunch of people who would just take instructions from you and not do things beyond what you're telling them. So the question over here is, do you want to be such a leader, or the organization wants just doers, or you want people who own, who hold themselves accountable, and who are empowered and they're enthusiastic to go beyond their thresholds to play to their full potential. So I hope we have answered this question. Subhash, if you want to add something, you may please. Um, you're on mute, Subhash.
How do I know my organization is cut out for coaching? Just to reiterate what Madhu said, every futuristic organization will have to get some kind of a coaching. And I'm not even talking about change management, which are all very big words, but some level of coaching also as an add-on leadership. That is a skill every leader needs for sure. Yeah. So and. I don't think there is an escape. See, people expecting leaders to be directive, that will continue. But then, is that what, as Madhu rightly pointed out, is that what you're getting the best out of the team, especially the smart people, the previous point that we discussed. There are a lot of smart people out there, right, who want to express themselves better. So, if you're going to be directive, then where are we maximizing their potential? So, absolutely every organization would benefit from coaching. As I said in my opening remark, some might start immediately, some might start later, but somewhere down the line, the system will benefit, the people in the organization will benefit if there is coaching.
Great. Any last question that you would like to ask, or anything that you can post it in the chat box or in the Q&A box, or else I think we should not stop
Yeah.
you from going ahead and having your dinner or the time with your family.
So,
Great.
at the bottom, what we leave the participants is, while we come with a wealth of corporate experience and life experience, our approach is based on the ICF International Coaching Federation competencies primarily, and then our interest is in delivering that ROI. So when we say ROI and enchantment, both are two sides of the coin. We don't see it as differently, and that is done in a true coaching way. Yeah. Thank you for joining, and there is an example. There's one last question. An example where coaching has delivered created impact in bottom line, where ROI of coaching, answer only if time permits. Yeah, my mother will take this.
Yeah,
So,
please take that.
I did a coaching engagement for a auto finance, car finance team in the Middle East. Uh, you know, they insisted that they needed two parameters. Three parameters. One was improved sales. Number two was improved that customer score. on a scale of 1 to 10, or how much would you rate, right? Would you rate 10 on 10 or 1 on 10? No, that score they wanted to improve. Number three, they wanted to reduce uh, turnover, right? People were living at different levels. So I kind of pushed back saying that no, coaching is behavioral, coaching is far more deeper. They said we'll take that, but we also want this. And it was a big bang for sure. And I mean, they didn't really give me an option. It was take it or leave it kind of a thing. And I took it as a challenge, right? And it was a 1 year engagement. And towards the last quarter, we kept measuring every quarter, of course. First 2 quarters, there was not much of a change. Third quarter, things started improving. By the fourth quarter, it's really started, moving in the right direction, thankfully. And the next year, I mean, I kept in touch with the head of strategy for the next one full year, only on the numbers, right? Apart from other stuff, because we left with some to do actions. So for me, that is a clear cut example where sales number improved, customer service, that score improved, and also turnover improved, right? And I did the entire leadership team for the coaching. Yeah, one I had when I had interviewed one of the youngest members in that group. He said, I mean, I'll not forget this. He said, today our department is least popular as an internal department for internal transfer. I want it to be the most popular. And that is the goal they set. So naturally, when the team worked on something like that, of course it improved, right? Because there is a passion. The youngest member saying that kind of had a dramatic impact. I mean, it was both ROI and enchantment for me. Not for me as a coach, but in that engagement for the client. So it is possible. It is possible to get actual ROI. Otherwise, we are not, we are not getting the full benefit. Yes. On that note, in the
Yeah.
interest of time, yeah, thank you very much. Thank you everyone who has joined. And we hope to see you in the upcoming cohort. Any questions, please reach out either on this email ID or you can look up Madhu and I are reasonably active on LinkedIn. You'll find us on the LinkedIn. Hope to see you soon. Yeah. Happy leading, happy learning. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Madhu.
Thank you. Thank you so much.